Hey guys, I'm with Stanley. He's at YA Capital. And so Stanley, can you introduce yourself? I mean, what's your role at YA Capital, and what does your firm focus on?
Okay. I am a senior director of investment banking, actually of
Mhm.
mergers and acquisitions at Young America Capital, which is a boutique um, investment bank, broker
Mhm.
dealer located outside of New York City in Mamaroneck, New York. So that's half-hour train ride outside of Manhattan. And I personally live and work out of Sarasota, Florida, but we have our offices up in New York.
Mhm.
And as my title implies, I really focus on sell side M&A. So that means helping people sell their companies when it's appropriate for them. I've been in this business for 30 years, not as a banker, as an investment banker, but
Mhm.
started out as a wealth manager in Washington, D.C. for 21 years. Um, did sort of concentrated stock management with executives in young companies that were going public. Worked for a company called Alex Brown. Then worked for Deutsche Bank. Had worked for Merrill Lynch for 10 years and then went to Alex Brown for 10 years, then Deutsche Bank for a couple of years. Then I was asked to work, or I should say move or relocate with an investment banking team to New York
Mhm.
in 2003, I guess, or four, and went
Mhm.
to work at Guggenheim Partners, which is, a very sizable these days, sizable boutique investment bank also.
Mhm.
Um, there I originated transactions for the private equity group, the private equity agency there.
Mhm.
Um, Started really getting into collateralized loan obligations, which were new at the time, and they enabled companies to raise money based on their future cash flows rather than selling equity. They could not just borrow money like debt, but they would commit some portion of their future cash flows to to collateralize and pay for the loan or the investment. So that became a new thing, and I raised a lot of money doing that. And then I got invited to join a hedge fund that focused on structured credit. That was Institutional Credit Partners. So I left Guggenheim after about 2 years, went to work for Institutional Credit Partners in New York for about 8 years. So I spent almost 10 or 11 years, I guess, in working in New York. Then I moved I left Institutional Credit Partners and started my own business, more or less, joined up with Young America Capital, where I work now. And since that time, 10 years or so, been working in as a boutique banker. And now I've kind of funneled my business really to mostly acquisition. So representing people who want to sell their businesses, families and individuals, or families and owners who want to sell their companies. So that's where I am today. And that brought me to you.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, what was your situation like before we started working together, and like, what were you trying to solve, or what were you trying to achieve?
Okay, well, the toughest thing for a boutique banker
Mhm.
is you don't have as you're not working at a place like Morgan Stanley or Bank of America or Goldman Sachs, where you have a lot of incoming calls from uh, larger companies that want banking advice. So the biggest challenge is originating quality deals.
Mhm.
There's a million companies out there that are trying to raise money and interested in selling their company, but they're lacking, you know, there's probably 4 or 5 ingredients they really need to be successful, and they're lacking at least one or two of them. So lesser investment banks, smaller, for lack of a better word, investment banks, lots of times are using a lot of their time and energy with companies that are not easy to sell
Mm.
or not easy to advise. And so the biggest challenge for someone in my position is something that a lot of bankers don't even realize. But I believe it's in originating a transaction on your own, by yourself, forming a relationship with a good company that has a need that you can fulfill in terms of
Mhm.
giving them good, solid advice. So the biggest challenge is, okay, where am I going to do my next 2 to 3 deals in the coming 12 months? And so I worked with another firm similar to yours, but not nearly as good. Then
Mhm.
somehow, Smith, you located me, and you reached out to me and said, "Hey, we have a firm that can expedite and make efficient your prospecting efforts." And I met with you briefly, and you gave me a very good, succinct explanation of how you guys do what you do. And so I started using you and got really, really solid results. Super good quality introductions that were numerous, and that therefore gives me options on which directions I should go.
Mm.
Either you're going to get very lucky and meet a really good company, or you're going to have to meet a lot of companies and cipher one out of there. And you guys help do the latter, which is much more, much higher odds of success. So prior to meeting you, definitely I was doing deals, but my new business origination was very much too slow, much
Yeah.
too sparse. So you guys have really ramped up the amount of options that I have to look for a good deal,
Mhm.
good transaction.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, glad to hear that you're one of our successful customers. And I mean, what volume of deal flow were you getting before us and versus right now?
Well, I mean, was getting a lot of opportunities brought to me through the broker dealer I work for, but none of them were quality, and I could see that. The only deals I've made money on, I've done 240 or $50 million worth of transactions in the last 6 years or so. And the only deals that are ever super successful or ever successful are the ones that I originate myself, because I have to have chemistry with the owners, the sellers, and I have to also believe in the company that it's got something that is of value in the marketplace. Um, Two things have happened to me that I think have really changed the game. One is meeting you all, because you guys are, before I would maybe get 2 introductions a year. And now, because of you, I'm getting 2 to 3 good introductions a week. And so that's number one. So it's giving me a lot of excitement, because I know I'm talking to some good companies, but I haven't found the mother lode yet, so to speak. You know, a super good company where the chemistry is exceptional. But we're going to. I know we're going to, because I'm getting closer and closer, and I'm learning how to use the platform. Smith and I have worked together. You and I have worked together on smoothing out our process so that the handoff is better and the leads are more what I'm looking for. And I'm able to just reach out to a good qualified prospect and say, "Hey, thanks for responding to my team's outreach recently, and here's what I can do for you." And so I kind of take it from there, and it works very well. So that's number one. And then number two is just with AI coming on board, I just have a lot of ability to quickly put together a presentation, a small presentation about their industry and even about their business, their specific business, in terms of valuation. The quickest way to get the attention of a business owner is to tell them that you believe you can tell them what their business would sell for in the market today. So
Right.
I can do that with the tools that I have now, and I can meet those people to do that through you guys. So you introduce them to me. Now I've got very good resources from which to immediately start adding value. And hopefully there is the opportunity in the middle of all that to bond a little bit with them, to gain their trust. So
Yeah.
sorry,
And
I'm long-winded, but
yeah, and like when you were mentioning that you were getting a lot of meetings before us, but they were not qualified. But right now, I mean, like
I
what?
wasn't getting that many meetings. I wasn't.
Yeah.
You make it. It's very difficult to prospect people about their companies because they're very discreet. They don't want to share it with anybody. But the approach that you guys use, if they really do have the thought in their mind of potentially selling their business now or someday,
Yeah.
your message is designed, or should be designed, to just say to them, "Hey, here's a low risk way to just discuss the prospect of selling your
Yeah.
company, whether it's today or some other day. We'd like to just give you an overview of how it works, what it costs, what the resources needed are, or the inputs you need to have, just to talk a little bit about the prospect. And also, we'll tell you what your company's worth. That kind of a message resonates to the extent where many of them will respond via email. They'll say, well, listen, I do have a company. I'm interested in selling it probably next year, or I would like some information on that, whatever. But it gives me the opportunity to connect with them personally. And that's what your job is. Your job is to open the door with interesting, questions or subjects that they will just respond to, even if just very briefly. And then doors open for me then to reach out to them personally and offer them something that's useful.
Yep, that's true. I mean, I would say like these are the founders and owners of 10 million, 20 million, 30, $50 million company. I mean, they just don't want to get on a call with,
no, they are very difficult to get them to take minutes out of their day to talk to somebody they don't even know.
Yeah. That's
so
true.
your outreach has to be really effective. And my feeling is that it should be succinct. In other words, relatively short, something they can read in 3 or 4 sentences. It shouldn't be too long because they will push it. They'll say, I don't know who this person is. They want to take half my, 10 minutes of my time. So your outreach, which you and I have worked on, should be very short and to the point. And it should say, hey, there's a lot of consolidation going on in your industry. We're seeing deals. We've done some deals recently in your industry, which is hopefully true. It should be true. And then saying, would you be interested in having a conversation about the market, about the M&A market in manufacturing or in healthcare or whatever the industry is. And so, and then also we'd be happy to give you a valuation estimate on your company. Those things, if you can say that in like 3 or 4 bullet points, very quick and short, then they may say, yeah, send me some information.
Yeah.
Or they may say, please call me. They might say, please call me, but they're going to say something. And so that's basically what I think you guys should do. And I think you're doing it well, doing it better. We can always get better, but you're doing it better and better and better.
Yep. And I mean, what's changed since we started the our campaigns? Like, walk me through the difference. Like, was there, like, of course, there was like a good deal flow in your CRM, but like, was there like you got free time and you started focus on closing deals? Like, walk me through the difference.
Well, I just think the ability it's a law of numbers, right? I mean, it's a game of numbers. You have to talk to 20 business owners to get one that fits and that is interested. And when I say fits, that means they're interested in selling, they need an advisor, and they like you or me in this case. And so that's what we're looking for. It's very difficult. So for you to get 20 responses, you've got to reach out to 2,000 people probably to get that. But if we get, we get the right response, it's potentially $1 million commission. So that's what makes it, it's a numbers game. And for me, I've done deals strictly based on referrals, on word of mouth. Somebody who did business with me or knows me referred somebody to talk to me about selling their company. And so I hopefully get a good deal and a good introduction. That's the best way to get a piece of business, by the way. But the next best thing is to do what you do, which is to touch on a subject that is a little bit interesting, that is quick for them to react to. It can't be a long drawn out discussion. It's got to be quick, 4 bullet points. Here's who we are. We're doing deals in your space. Would you be interested in a conversation about the M&A market or, trucking companies or for manufacturing companies or for construction companies? And so they say, yeah, I'd like to talk about that. I'd love to get some information. And then I take it from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Your objective is to get them to respond to your email with something in writing, something. Yep. Even if they say, I'm not interested right now, they might say, I'm interested in 2 years. Okay, that's worth something. Yep. So I can begin to try to form that relationship with them.
100%. And like what made our approach different from other lead gen or business development efforts you have tried? I mean, of course, there are like a lot of people must be reaching out to you in the past, currently.
They are, but what I think is best is that you're intelligently listening to what I say. You're listening to my feedback. we first started out a little bumpy. I think you first were using a message that, hey, we have a buyer that's interested in your company. And so everybody would respond to that. Yeah, I'd like to talk to you. And then it's very awkward because I really don't have a buyer that's interested. If I don't have a specific interested party, then they don't believe me and I lose credibility. So that didn't quite work. Although it was extremely effective at getting a response, you can't do that. And it's okay. You and I worked it out and we said, here's a better message. Here's a better way to do it. Here's a better way. And I think what we finally settled on was, we have done several recent deals that are relevant to you and your business. Do you have an interest in quickly discussing those in the M&A market for your company? Also, we can give you some valuation information. Those are things that make it, if you can deliver that message, concisely, like I said, concise is a great word. In other words, in as few words as possible, you are going to get some feedback because it takes them just a minute to say, yeah, I'm interested in that. But don't make them read something for 10 minutes. They don't have that time. They're going to just push it aside. So, and you've got very good at that. You guys have a good hit rate. And I know we're starting a metal fabrication outreach and factories, industrial manufacturing, industrial factory, those types of things. And I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, like 100% we excited too. But was there any concerns that you had initially about cold outreach for M&A? Like how?
It's, like I said, it's a very hard. It's hard to get someone to discuss confidential information about their company. Even their attitude about selling, they do not want their competitors or customers or their employees to know that they might be thinking about selling. It's like, that's not a good thing. So to get them to talk about some things that are somewhat discreet in nature is a tough thing. So that was hard for me, but you guys are helping breach that with just a non-threatening offer for a conversation and some good information. What's the environment in their industry right now for M&A, mergers and acquisitions, and where's the pricing? What do you think my company might be worth? That to me, those are your two hooks that get them to respond.
Yep. Sounds that sounds.
And then the other thing, Smith, that you guys do well is you follow up. You send an email, then you send another email referencing the first email, and then you send another one. And usually that's probably necessary in most cases. And then they finally go back and look at the emails and say, okay, let me just tell this guy whatever.
I mean, these are busy people. So, we need to follow up with them because, even after they have shown an interest, we also follow up after we have replied to them or if they have missed our response or something. So, 1,000%, follow-ups are one of the important things because, if you are reaching out to just once, they might have not seen the email or it might be buried in their inbox or something like that. So I completely agree with you. If you had to put any number on it, what's the ROI been for you?
Well, it's hard to say so far because the ROI has been good because I'm getting interactions with executives about banking deals. So the ROI in a non-tangible sense is great. The ROI in a financial sense is going to take a year. It's going to take at least a year to realize that. But if I, spend the money I'm spending, one transaction should pay for what I'm investing in a year, 15 to 20 times over. So the ROI is going to look awfully good if we just hit, on one transaction.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And what made you decide, to work with us versus building this in-house or using any other solution or any other lead gen partner? When you get on a call with me, what made you decide, he's the guy that I want to work with?
Well, Smith, I think that just like I'm in the position where I have to gain confidence and trust with a particular potential client, I do that with two things. One is with my competency, letting them know that I know what I'm talking about and that I have experience and that I have valuable information. The other is with my demeanor. You know, you got to be a nice, likable person. You got to be somewhat warm. And you have both of those. The things that you seem to just realize and understand make me think that you're competent and you have good business acumen and you know what we're trying to do here. And you're also a good guy, nice guy, professional, I'd say trustworthy. You come across that way. Warm, you know, nice guy. So all of those two things, your demeanor and personality, as well as your competency, made me feel comfortable. And then, of course, then you give somebody the opportunity to try the program, and they get good results. So that's where it goes from there.
100%. I mean, this is like number one factor, because I mean, if you don't like and if you don't like someone, I don't think you would be want to work with them.
You don't like
And
them, you don't trust them generally.
yeah, that's true. 100%. I mean, second thing is like you don't want to stick with someone for 3 months, 6 months contract before even testing their service out, right? So I mean, that's why we have introduced our like 45 days pilot run, which we did. And I mean, like if someone was in your position and was on the fence about this, like what would you tell them?
Well, I think with you, your challenge is to get people to come off the dollar. You know, you got to get them to spend some money. It costs money to make money. That is definitely true. So I would tell them it's the investment is by far worthwhile, by far, because you're getting introductions that you never would get otherwise. So, you know, you're going to spend some money, but the return on investment is going to be immediately, you know, visible and strong. It's a good investment. I can't put it any more simply than that.
Yeah, 1,000%. And like, where do you see this? I mean, last question. So where do you see this going for your firm over the, like, let's say next 6 to 12 months? Like, has this made any impact, or like, where do you see this?
Well, I mean, if I do a deal, then if I can pay for this with a deal, you know, and other than just paying for it out of pocket, then it's going to ramp up the activity level quite a bit. You know, I do one good deal, you know, and I'm hiring an intern, and he or she's going to take over the relationship a little bit, and the two of you are going to work together very hard. And obviously we'll pay more money for your attention. But long story short, I mean, the better we do together, which we will, there's no question that we will hit on a very good deal here. And then we'll reinvest and re-up.
100%. Yeah. I mean, that was all the questions. So I mean, thanks for giving out this interview. I mean, I'm glad that you are liking to work with us. I mean,